So today we're going to talk about business. This is one of my favorite subjects to discuss. Both you and I come from a family that has been entrepreneurs ever since you were born, definitely. But right after I was born, I think they got into it, especially around age 2 when they had to just, figure out things with Paul and the whole insurance situation and whatnot. So that is an amazing story. If you've never heard my parents' story, it's like, wow, definitely overcomers, right? And so I feel like that has just carried through into us kids. And we talked about in previous episodes about, computing for ADHD. We all kind of have that we're all kind of tilted that way a little bit. But sitting in a cubicle doing work for somebody else doesn't really compute for us. It does not work.
Nope.
So, anyway, that has led all of us into being in our own business and being totally comfortable with, working as hard as we all work and striving to do that and to create systems to where we can go create other things. I'm a firm believer that all of us, and we definitely feel that as a family, that we're all co-creators with God, So he created us in, his image, and he is a creator. So obviously it's in our hearts and our purpose, and most everybody's purpose is to create something, whether it's art or music or a great family life or whatever it is. But that's what we do, is we create. And so specifically, we love creating businesses. And so have been for 20 plus years in the hair and makeup industry. I absolutely love it. I get to create daily. I get to create looks. I get to create situations where people just feel beautiful. They love themselves. And, I've had people that break down and be crying, and I'm like, what's the matter? Thinking, crap. What did I do?
Why did they cry?
Right. Yeah. And it usually is when they're like, I didn't know I could be this pretty,
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, that's heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I love that I get to create in this field, and I love that I get to teach people how to do that and how to even see the possibility, showing people that they have options in that. Most people think, oh, I'm only destined to do XYZ or go work at a gas station or whatever it is. And it's like, no, babe, we've got it.
Yeah.
You just have to realize it, So that being a part of business, we talk about all aspects of business, and there's a lot of hats you have to wear, being in your own business. And I know you and I have talked about your business and the whole audio recording and all that, which I don't speak that language. I don't know. That's why I defer to the expert, because I don't know anything about that. But one aspect, and especially in my industry, is especially post-COVID, everybody's charge your worth and add tax, and so pricing is just going crazy because our costs are going crazy, right, in this economy, right? So it's where's the middle ground? And then you have people that are charging, $400 or $500 a face, and you're like, how? Why? Do you even get business?
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of people get on that train, and then they price themselves out of business, because they're like, oh, this is my pricing now because I'm worth this much. I don't know according to who, but nobody else sees that worth because it's outlandish. And so now you only get one event a month versus your 50 events that you were doing at a smaller price point and rolling in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So that's what I want to touch on today, talking about business, how to set your pricing, and then also, education, how that plays a role in it, and how to just kind of walk through all of the aspects of determining pricing.
Well, I mean, it's kind of this episode's perfect for me because I have such a hard time with pricing.
Oh, yeah.
because I'm like, I don't know. For me, it's a matter of self confidence. When I should be self confident enough to say, hey, my skills and knowledge is worth something,
Right.
I think it's somewhere inside me to go, but what if they don't like what I did, you know?
Yeah.
And then they're going to be like, I just paid this much for this.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would kill me if
Oh,
someone said that. But sometimes I understand with our parents being in business for so long that sometimes you can give someone the world and they'll be like, that's
it's
it?
not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, jump off a cliff. No, I'm just kidding.
Um,
We very rarely say that, but we do say it.
not to their face.
No. Yeah.
So I just, yeah, I think I wouldn't have the self confidence to be like, no, I gave you X.
XYZ.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, like, especially with my clientele, if they, number one, I can read body language like nobody's business. I don't know if that's due to trauma or what, but I can, like, and I think it is. I think partially it is due to just the experience that I've had over the years, and even someone be like, "Oh yeah, I like it," and then they go in the room and other room and they change it, and I'm like, "What?
You don't like it that
You
much?
don't like it that much? Like, why wouldn't you just come to me?" So I always tell my clients, like, "Listen, you ain't gonna hurt my feelings. I want you to walk out of here like knowing, like, dang, I look good. You know what I mean? And if there's something you want to change, then we can change it. You know, I'm gonna do what's best for photos, but I have to kind of marry that with what you want to look like and envision for yourself and your comfort, you know. So we have to find it's my job to find the common ground. You know, yes, I want you to feel comfortable, but I also want it to look great in photos. But if we need to tweak it one way or another, then I'm totally fine with that, you know. So at the end of the day, I don't have to wear it. So it's them who's got to wear it, or them who has to, you know, use that recording or whatever it is, you know, that it's their deal. So you want to make sure that they get what they've invested in their service, you know. So just real quick, but the basis for being in business is, you know, you're either selling, you're taking a product or service and moving that to the end consumer. If you're in a business where you just consume, that's not a business. That's probably a hobby. Okay. So you're not turning a profit. So we're not talking about that today. We're talking about business where you're actually moving a product or service into the end consumer. Okay. And specifically, we're not going to talk about products today. We do have products that we promote, or things that we use that people want to, you know, they ask questions about or whatever, and we can move that product to the end consumer. But that's not what we're talking about today either. We're talking about products. Your product is your service. Okay. So the service that you're moving, and then what that looks like is the earning potential based off of what you are selling, which again is not an actual thing. It's actually a service. So it's your talent that you're you know, moving to that person, right? Because they can't do it on their own. They can't do their whole, you know, hair. They can't do their makeup. They want
Or as
to purchase that.
high quality as you can. They
Absolutely.
may be able to do it on their own, but not like you.
Right, exactly. So in the end, when you're selling services, you're selling time.
Yeah.
Right? You're selling time slots, you're selling dates in my case. In your case, if they make an appointment, then you're selling, you know, that date and time, you know. So for me, I think just bringing it down to what your like goal is to, you know, make per year will determine your technical like hourly rate. And I know you touched on something about you know, you felt like you weren't worth XYZ, you know, like that would like kill you. But I think opening the lines of communication and saying, hey, I'm sending this to you, tell me what you think, you know, we can adjust things as you see fit, and be honest. So you're not only telling them that, you're telling yourself that,
Yeah.
right? So you're open to it, right? And then also, I want to, change the narrative too, because I felt the same way. It's like, oh, like my worth was wrapped up in their opinion of, I think
Your
it's the
work.
greatest. Yeah. And they're like, I don't like it, and you're like heartbroken, but your value is not determined by someone else. Like someone else's version of like your worth, that's like totally on them. But when you bring value to the table, you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I set things up correctly and all of the things. You're presenting your value to somebody, and that's valuable to them because they can't do it on their own, right?
Yeah.
In your case, everybody has an iPhone. Yeah, I can do this and put it all on social media. But is it to the quality
Yeah.
that you would provide?
Which, yeah, with that, there's two schools of thought. So it's like, why would I pay you when I could do it myself?
Right.
But in order to, these days, everyone can do it. But that doesn't mean it's going to come out good. And most of the time, when they're doing it on their own, it's not coming out good.
Right.
And it's like when it looks janky, someone scrolls on your timeline and sees that you did a podcast, or you did a music video, or you did something media, and they go, "Oh, Jeff looks like he started a podcast." Well, it looks like Jeff started a podcast. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It looks homey, like home video. But if everyone's doing that, and it looks homey to everyone, then to stand out, you're gonna want the high quality.
Yes.
You're gonna want the visual that makes people go, "Oh, wow, he's doing it for real."
Right. Yeah.
If you're taking it that seriously.
Yeah.
But if you're not, I mean, I feel like a big part of business in general and sales is understanding what is your client and what's not.
Oh, that's good. Your target client. Like,
Yeah.
not every client's going to be yours.
No. And there's some...
You don't want every client.
And there's some that, like, you'll come across and they'll tell you what they're trying to get, and you can tell them, well, I don't do things that way. And you're not going to come out with that, or you're going to spend a little more money than that.
Right.
But if it's not a good fit, let me see how I can help you.
Sure.
And then that person might refer you business. So
Exactly.
it's kind of like...
Well, then you get frienders.
Yeah.
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 We have a little name for that.
But...
But you're sending each other business because y'all are maybe in the same industry, but not doing the same stuff, because you attract your specific style. You know what I mean? So that's what I think. That's what, like, I have friends in the industry, and I send them business all the time.
When I was in insurance, they called it referral partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more of a professional.
Friender.
Frienders. We're in the wedding industry. Everybody's friends. Yeah. Then you got your frenemies.
Yeah.
Those are different.
Yeah. A
little bit different, for sure. Yeah.
Friender. I like that. But what I was saying is, it's just like, what was I saying?
I'm sorry. I threw in the friender thing.
It's okay. It's my brain. I should be able to keep up. So, what
Funny.
you're gonna want to make those connections where you can anyway.
Yeah.
But the important thing is to understand what your client needs, and understand that not everyone is yours.
Yes.
Because if their expectations are one thing, and you know that from the get-go, and you still try to sell to them, then you're going to come up short.
Yeah.
Because someone might come to this studio and be like, well, I want to film a movie. Mm-hmm. And I could be like, sure, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's shoot it all in 4K and I can get Brad Pitt out here and let's make it happen.
Yeah.
That person's going to leave me with a bad review because I don't know Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to shoot a movie in this place, you know?
Yeah.
But if someone goes, I need a podcast, but I need something, and I need it to look professional and nice and, you know, whatever needs that they may have that I can fill, then it's like, okay, you're the right guy. This would be perfect. And then they can feel that in you.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference. People can smell BS.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you look for the right client to where it's like, oh, okay, we're a perfect match, mm-hmm. then the confidence comes out in you to be like, to where they're like, okay, this guy knows his stuff.
Right.
And I think that's what I need to just focus on, mm-hmm. and finding the right people, mm-hmm. instead of, okay, gotta make my bottom line. Yeah. Because what happens is that you get a less confident Caleb who's unsure of his prices.
Right. Yeah.
Because someone's expectations are high and they're like, this price is pretty high for what I'm doing. And it's like, I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, there's a phrase we say, what's your budget?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Brought that one up in insurance a few times too.
Yeah.
What's your budget? If it was like $50 a month, I was like, dude, you can't afford health insurance.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but
exactly.
You will not be covered.
But I think you brought up a really great point, is that being comfortable with being honest with people, you know, and sometimes, like, I had a client one time who, she wanted like this super like beautiful, it's the Russian like hairstyles, right? They have so much hair and it goes all the way down to their bottom, and they have like these roses that they made out of hair and it's all going down, like it's beautiful. And this lady in particular, she came in and she was like, this is the kind of style I want. And I was like, okay, great. Like, cause I actually have trained in that too. So I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be a higher ticketed, you know, updo, cause it takes so freaking long and such precision. Right. And so anyway, she comes in and her hair is like cut to here and it's super thin. And she was like, this is what I want. I was like, where's the rest of the hair? And I was being sincere. I'm like, is it in your purse? Because
because extensions. Okay.
And she looked at me like, no. I'm like, oh, we need extensions, you know, in the very least, because this is not even possible. This girl's hair is down to here. She's got like horse hair, and you don't have any hair. You know?
This is where you live.
Yeah, it's just not possible based off of this, you know. Yeah. And truly, anything that they see or pull up on the internet, there's probably a really good chance that it's fake. It's AI, or it's Photoshop. There's foam pieces in there. There's all kinds of things to make it look full when it's not, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Fake hair, whatnot. So I was just like, yeah, this is impossible right now. So we got to readjust what your expectations are based off of what we have. If you're not willing to put in the extra for, you know, the extensions, the
supplies,
foam, all of that, you know. I mean, I have foam pieces and stuff too, but also, like, if I were to put that foam piece in her hair, you could see right through it. It was that thin. So I was like, okay, so
I love your hair.
I was just like, it can't be done unless we have some, you know, external, you know, stuff happening here.
Forces.
Yes. It ain't gonna work, honey. It ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
But I feel like over time, you get more confident in people saying, Like, okay, this is your expectation and this is where we're at. So either we can find some place in the middle, maybe that's doable, but yeah, that ain't gonna work. You know, and you get more confident, and they can, at least you're being honest with them. So it might be shooting down their dreams, but you can speak the truth in love. Like, you can say, you know, you don't have to be ugly about it. You don't have to be brutal. The truth should never be brutal, by the way, but it should always be like, okay, this is a situation. This is what we can do. This is what we can't do, and go from there. You know, a reality.
Yeah.
Let's go from
Let's bring you back down a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's really important. And I feel like as you're more confident in just speaking the truth, people are going to know that about you.
Yeah.
You know,
and they're going to trust you.
They're going to trust you, right? Because you can't trust somebody with truth.
Maybe it was you who told me this, but it was you build business as fast as you build trust.
Yep.
So that kind of goes into that.
Yeah.
If you're honest with people all the time, then they have no reason not to trust you. So they absolutely know what they're going to get. Whereas first, they're like learning about you.
Yeah.
Especially in those first couple of appointments or whatever you have, and they're like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to get. They're probably already, most people, they're already on the suspicious side. Like, am I getting screwed over here? What's going on?
Yeah.
So
I know I do.
When I go into somewhere, I'm like, they're screwing me. I know.
I feel it.
I'm a little suspicious, but yeah. So to just kind of move that muscle of being honest all the time, but being polite about it.
Sure. Diplomatic. You can be diplomatic.
I think your business will build as fast as that. Now, there's some people who lie in different industries and stuff, and they skyrocket, but they fall even harder.
Yeah.
So that just kind of watch out for that. But yeah, honesty is a way to go with business.
For sure. For sure. So, okay. So talking about pricing, you know, you have to determine what you want your life, all of your pricing, all of your services that you get are based off of what your goals are in your business and how you want your life to look. So for me personally, like my peak days for business are, you know, weekends, you know, special events and stuff. They don't happen usually during the week, but on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And there's 52 weeks in a year. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday is 3 days. Right?
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. I got a little side note here for you.
Okay.
Okay, so 52 weeks in a year, right? There's 4 weeks in a month.
Most of the time, sometimes there's 5.
Okay, yeah. So divide 4 by 52. I mean, the other way around.
I can't
52
do that.
by 4.
I have to write it down.
Okay. All right, I'll do it for you.
Okay.
All right. It's 13.
13 months?
There's 13 months in a year. Think about that.
I know.
Okay.
We can go into a whole different podcast.
Sorry. I saw that on social media. I was like, they're robbing us. They're robbing us of time.
They are. And the seasons, and it doesn't add up. And anyway, that's a whole other podcast.
Sorry.
There's truth in it. But
You said 52, and I was like,
nope.
Here it is.
Here's my opportunity.
I have to spread awareness.
Hilarious. Okay, so back to what I was saying. This whole rabbit trail. Okay, so back to what I was saying. 52 weeks in a year, supposedly. 3 days in a weekend, usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so that means 156 days out of the year is my earning potential days, right? Where I can charge this is like where I do my thing, right? So, and let's say that I only do one event per day, okay, which is not true. We do way more. But let's say I do one event per day, and my average price per day, or my goal price, is to be, let's say $1,000 a day. Okay. So And the average wedding is 6 people at $150 to $200 each. So that's usually the average wedding is about $1,200. Okay?
Okay.
Just for math's sake, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's this? Keep it easy because I don't have a calculator in front of me. So the average price for a day is $1,000, right? And I do it 3 times 3 because I work 3 days in a weekend. So that's $3,000 per week.
So
Right?
Potential
Earning
income.
potential. Do
Yeah.
I do this every day? No. Okay. But, and like I said, and then there's some weekends where I do 6 or 7 events in a whole weekend,
Yeah.
right? So that's 3 a day.
Potential income, man.
Potential. So before we set our pricing, we have to look at our earning potential.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always bums me out.
Always bums
This
you
is
out.
what I could have.
Well, you will eventually. That's the
Well, yeah.
goal because we're talking about goals, like our
Yeah.
goal setting. Everything that you're basing your whole life on is what you want your life to look like. I only want to work 3 days a week, okay?
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to be. That's my earning potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so let's say my earning potential based off of if I work 156 days times 1,000 per day, that's 156,000. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. That's my earning potential if I do that work, right? Now I might take a vacation. I might not book a day. I might book 3 events in a day. All right. So it all kind of comes out in the wash. So that is my earning potential. Now, I do have like if you have a team though, and you can work outside your time, your earning potential for each of those team members, if they're capable of going to do events while you're doing events, again, that doubles or triples or quadruples your income, right? So if you have team members able to do the same thing. Now, most people start putting on team members before they're even at their earning potential. Right.
Yeah.
So you're actually cutting your stuff in half instead of duplicating it, like multiplying it by 2.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with like the scheduling of like beauty, but what? So essentially, you would be maxing out your appointments, your dates, and then you would get a team member on to get new,
Yes.
like on top of the dates you already have.
Right.
Which is if you bring a team member on before, you have to like share your.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're cutting.
Is that the typical what people do a lot?
Yeah. So
They bring people on
they'll
before.
Go, oh, I need an assistant because whatever. And now on the daily, they can make their their time. They can cut their time in half. So now, if I have just one assistant with me, in the time it takes me to do one event, I can actually do 2 because they're speeding it up, right?
That makes
but
sense.
An assistant is one thing. Another person doing the same job you're doing is another.
Yeah.
That's going to cost more. So now you're cutting your stuff in half. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, we're not going to add people on except for assistants until we're maxed out or whatever that max out might be. You might only want to work 50 days a year and that's 50,000. So once you're maxed out based off of what you want to do, then that's when you start adding people on to work outside your time. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then we go into cost of goods sold. So this is the products, this is your cost associated with each service. So I know there's always the initial investment. It took you had to purchase these things. You had to purchase the desk. You had to purchase, all of that. There's your initial investment. And then you have for each service that you offer, each hour that you offer, there's a cost associated with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that cost should be 10% or less of what you're charging. Okay. So let's say, your pricing per hour is $100 an hour. Okay. So to record somebody, it's $100 an hour, and the cost of doing that should be less than $10. Okay.
Okay.
So same for me. If I do a face and I'm charging $100 per face, the makeup and all the things that I'm using, my disposables, all of that, it has to stay within that 10%, less than 10%. Because outside of that, you have marketing, you have, all the other things that happen in business, and then you still have to get a profit.
Yeah.
Right?
But what about, say, this? I have nothing that really, a lot went into starting it, but I have no...
You have electricity.
Okay, well, yeah.
You have cleaning that you have to do after each person, right?
But I don't have any supplies like that.
Yeah, but you're not like, throwing away a lip brush or anything like that. Yeah. But you still have costs associated with it. Look at all these lights in here.
Yeah.
Look at all these things that are pulling electricity. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. The AC, we're not going to be in here sweating. The water that you give all your people, there is cost associated with each thing. So as long as it's less than 10%, you're good. Because then you have to take another portion of that, whatever is paid into you, and put it back into marketing and back into your education, because you're always getting better because you're providing a service.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Same for me. 10% of anything that I earn, it goes back into education. Okay? Because I know that in education, your what you spend in education should be a projection, should be 10% of the projected amount of income, right? So as long as you are becoming more valuable, you're getting more experience, more education, more classes in your craft, you know that eventually what you spend in education is going to be your projected 10% of your projected amount that you're going to be making in income. So if I paid $20,000 for my initial education, right? You have your initial expenses, that's fine. But eventually you should be making $200,000 a year in business based off of what they taught you during that education.
Yeah.
And if they did not teach you what you need to know to make $200,000 a year based off of that cost, that wasn't a good education.
Yeah.
Right?
So, most educations aren't good, though.
Most educations don't teach you what you need to know, right?
Makes sense.
So that's why I spend 10% always every year going back into my education. I get better and better, more valuable. And when people see what I put out on social media, they're like, you need to go to her. Mm-hmm. I saw the before and after from this chick, and she looked amazing at the end of it. She didn't even use a filter, so that's what will spread, So if I want to look at adding $50,000 to my bottom line, I know I'm going to spend about $5,000 in education to become better.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. And education, either they're teaching you a new skill or they're confirming what you already know. And man, that's a good feeling when they're like teaching you what you already know and you're like, okay, this is really great. I didn't have to spend this much money, but I'm just a confirmation that I'm on the right track. Man, that's great. That's confidence building in you. And so then when you're talking to your potential customers and whatnot, they pick up on that too.
Yeah.
So.